So race 2 from round 2, the longest race in the series. This is the final race of the round. We are away. It is, of course, a reverse grid. We have Moldovic starting out of first position as he was stuck on the line in race 1. So far, everything is clean. No one's stuck on the line, which is exactly what you want to see. And as we cut back to the very back of the pack to see how this goes, Sim starting a little bit slower than someone like Speedy Chicken, for example, who shot away quite well. Plenty of action going on here. People are going to be pretty keen, pretty desperate to try and get through to the front of the grid. And that's the best thing about reverse grid races. I have to say I love it. I'm really glad I made the choice to make race 2 a reverse grid because I think it's going to make the races very interesting. You can see Sim up the inside of myself there, a very good overtaking manoeuvre. You have to try and benefit as much as you can early on. You don't want to try and get stuck behind someone, but of course we do want to encourage good, clean racing. The pack is very, very thick at this point. People are still trying to get past, but the reality is a lot of the people that you're around are also very quick. It's sort of a weird dynamic, and we have someone lose control. It was Hippie Heat, unfortunately, who's gone face first into the wall, so it looks like where Bilson has had the bulk of the bad luck early on in the races. Hippie Heat, who has been going very well after a race win, and then of course race 1 here was very good too, but he's going to be up against it because he's currently a stone motherless last, and he's definitely going to be having to push hard to try and make it back up. He's a long way behind even Mojo now, who's currently sitting in 14th position. So we watch Sim go up the inside of Piosco's. We keep an eye on Speedy Chicken. He's someone that we can pretty reliably assume is going to be working his way right up towards the pointy end should anything not go too badly wrong for him. He's got a good run on Piosco here. Thought he might have switched to the inside for the overtake. He's gone the outside, which should make it a little bit easier for Piosco to defend the position, but still so much tussling going on. The pack is very, very tight, very close together at the moment. No real incidences to speak of. There's a little bit of contact here and there. It looks like Sim just touching and rubbing, but that's fine. No one gets spun around, and that's the best thing about these online lobbies. You get no 10-second penalties for making a little bit of contact, so everyone keeping it fairly clean. A bit of contact is perfectly fine, and at times encouraged as well. You can see Willie having a much, much better race start, currently in 6th position. So he's got away clean, and that must be a pretty good feeling. As I go up the inside of Piosco, I open the door for Skater, and Piosco's actually found himself out a little bit wide there. Skater's able to comfortably cruise on through as well. Someone else that could quite potentially be moving his way towards the pointy end of the field. And Mojo not really dropping off the back or anything, so the gap is tight. Again, Speedy Chicken and Stanuel, it looks like, just having a little bit of rub and tug there as they bounce off each other, but again, nothing too bad going on. Very, very thick pack here, all the way down from sort of 7th down to 14th. Everyone is tight, and someone has gone around. It looks like Risky Devil, unfortunately from around about 7th position, I think he was, and found himself facing the wrong direction. A little bit more contact there again between Skater and Speedy Chicken this time, so people just trying to quarrel over the same bit of track. Stanuel and Mojo nearly coming together, but both managed to avoid it nicely. Speedy has worked his way up to 9th position. I'm now up to 8th, which is good. Not a bad little start from me, not entirely disappointed. And Stanuel doing very well there in 12th place. Piosco has been bumped down the grid a little bit to 13th, but also been showing some good form. So as we go up forward, you can see Jason's currently has the lead over Moldovic. So he has managed to take the position off Moldovic, but, you know, I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Moldovic in that he didn't have the experience of race 1. So it's only really what he saw on the stream itself, but he's gone back up the inside. Very, very shallow entry compared to Jason, so it'll be interesting to see who can get the better drive out of the turn. But he's done very well, Moldovic. It's a good overtake there. Hasn't managed to run wide. And these two could be quite a hot little battle. They've got quite a good gap, actually, over Charge. They've broken away from the field just a little bit. And you know that battle's not over yet because Jason's is pushing very hard to take that position back. He momentarily had first position, and I don't think he's going to give up that easily. So this is a good little battle here as we jump on board. Can he go up the inside? No, it looks like both braked exceptionally late. Trying very, very hard to make sure they actually made the turn into the final corner of the track, and we come round to begin lap 4. So things are finally starting to settle out. The front of the grid, as I sort of said last round, it gives you a really good chance whilst you don't have to tussle for positions. And people that may have struggled early on, you can see Willie there is up to 5th place now. It gives you the opportunity for a bit of free racetrack that you might not have otherwise had, and that can help people that perhaps aren't quite there in terms of lap time, just good clean races. And I've actually just gone up the inside of the Flying Chicken there, and maybe a little bit of contact, nothing too much. We are side by side, and of course he has the inside line into that turn, so I've had to yield the position back as he moves back to the outside to get the right line around. And the gap is just starting to stretch out a little bit. From 6th, 7th and 8th, we're sort of together. A little bit of a break back to Mojo in 9th. But Mojo's coming good, bearing in mind he was 14th last time we checked in on him, so he's got some good pace on as well. And fighting on. Speedy very, very sideways there. Imager actually might have... Imager, I keep calling him that. I'm just going to call him GTR. How about that? So GTR might have been just a little bit worried seeing him that far sideways and probably lost a bit of time because of it. Nonetheless, I am still hounding him, which is always good. He's very sideways, pushing hard early on in this race to get up front as soon as he can. Probably the best tactic from me, again, is just to try and latch onto the back of him and go with him. Skater very, very wide there. He's flown off the racetrack. Not great for him, unfortunately, running out wide, but it has allowed Piosco and Staniel to come back through. I can hear a little bit of contact, but we can't quite see it, so hopefully no one else has gone around. Back into the final turn, one of the better overtaking spots on the track, but at the same time it's a very big wide corner, and the exit of the corner is very flowing, so you can actually get away with taking a few lines. You can come in very, very hot and shallow into the corner as well and still get some good drive. Speedy now up to 8th position. Mojo pushing him hard in 9th and sideways again. So he's very much in the thick of the action this time round, keen to get through. But he's just dropped back a little bit. You'll remember he was with me up in 6th. So making a few little errors there early on. Not sure if this will hamper his position and opportunity to get forward and try and take another race victory, but nonetheless he is fighting on, and we do know he's got a lot of pace in him. So Piosco now finding the opportunity to go up the inside of Mojo. Nice clean overtaking manoeuvre there, no contact. Mojo cuts to the inside, but again one of those big wide exits of the corner where you can just get on the throttle very hard and you really don't lose out that much by going wide under power. So GTR GTR there really on the back of him. We've got the yellow canaries together. How about we call them there? Oh, well, probably more of a bumblebee really. Our GTR, isn't he, with the black and the yellow? And we've got the opposing white and yellow of Piosco there. Some good looking liveries again by Ryan Lee Graphics, who's knocked up the series colour scheme for the cars, the series livery. Not everyone's running it. You can see Sim here has got his own thing going on. Something of a sponsorless car, perhaps going to be sending his resume out looking for some potential sponsors to put on the side of the car. Willie going solidly in 4th place, so much better start, and he'll be happy with that. He's now got myself and Speedy, who's caught back up to me, so again, not disappointing in terms of his pace. We're going to be in pursuit of Willie at this point. We're currently on lap 6. This is where we saw the leader pit in race 1. So I guess lap 6, at the end of this lap, is probably the official first lap of the pit window. This is when we're most likely to see people come in, but everyone's a little bit wiser, a little bit more clued into pit strategies and how it works. The other thing you have to remember about Speedy Chicken, he is currently behind me in 6th place, but he was very, very good at keeping fuel in race 1, and he was able to not only take the lead, very sideways there as GTR goes up the inside of Mojo. Mojo just got sideways on the gas by the looks of it. There you go, there's that terminology, gas, for our American viewers. Staniel looking very, very good, shoots up the inside as well, doesn't lose out. So Staniel in the thick of it too. But yeah, as I was saying, Speedy proved in race 1 that his pit strategy and the way he can conserve fuel was very beneficial to him. He not only took the lead, but he actually pulled out about a 4 or 5 second gap, which was never caught back up again, and he was able to go on and win the race. So it'll be interesting to see as Charged pits for the very first time. So he did pit on lap 6. That was replicated, but he looks like the only person, as Sim Moldovic goes through 1st and 2nd position there, but it does look like he was the only one to actually pit on lap 6. So people wanting to push it out a bit further, that elevates Willie up into 3rd position. I've actually been able to gain right up on him here as we sort of go on board looking over, you can see the gap between first and fifth, with Speedy being just behind me at the moment. You can really see that they are coming back. The pack is closing up a little bit at the front. Staniel still fighting it out with GTR. Close, actually. He took that opportunistic overtake on Mojo, but he's not letting the opportunity go as he's staying in. You can see Hippie just there sneaking along in the background in 10th spot, which is a good recovery because he was a very, very long way behind at the start of lap 1, facing the wrong direction. He was the only one to really have a big lap 1 incident. Staniel out very wide, but going back to what I was saying earlier, you can get on the power because of the big wide exits of these turns. You can get on the power and really not lose out that much by running so wide. Nonetheless, he has dropped a little bit back from GTR, Mojo and Hippie now, so it'll be good to keep an eye on Hippie as we go on board with him. We know that he's got pace. He had pace in race 1, and of course he won race 2 of round 1. So someone to keep out. He's already done a very, very good job to get back to where he is, and he will go the overtake there. It looked like a bit of a last-minute decision, perhaps not originally thinking he would go the overtake. Surprised by the early braking. Staniel got sideways there. And it looks like everyone is going to dive in the pits side by side, actually, between those two. So, Gran Turismo, of course, does just make everyone disappear as you enter the pit lane. No collisions or anything. And you can see the rest of the field is currently in the pit. So, Charge, being the first person to pit last lap, is the only person to have pitted then. And he will hold down first position. At this point, we've got Sim in second position. We have Speedy in third now. So there you go. He was 6th place last time we checked in on him. I was talking about how he conserves fuel and how beneficial that was to him in race 1. It looks like it's been exactly the same to him in race 2 because he suddenly found himself in third and a long, long way in front of myself and Willie, which is where he was before the pit stops. So again, we've got to watch that. I think if you could take a tip away for any of the people competing in this, if you could take something away from it, it's that it's worth preserving fuel. As you see me up the inside of my good friend Willie, who is BR Bilson, if you're not sure of that, we've been sort of aching to have a really good on-track battle for a long time. It sort of was taken away from us during round 1 a couple of times. So, yeah, it always feels good to stuff on up the inside of your mate there, and that's exactly what... That didn't come out right. That's exactly what happened there, though. I've managed to take 5th position off him, and I guess the 2 of us, or 3 of us, because Piosco's still right there as well in 7th. So the 3 of us now in hot pursuit of Moldovic up in 4th place. And hopefully that will happen, but we're all on outlaps here, so it just really gives you a big indication of how much time Speedy managed to gain. And going back to the point I was just making before, is if you could take anything away from it, it's to conserve your fuel as much as you can. I think probably early on in the race, when people are scrapping and battling with each other, it's a great opportunity to do that, because you're not necessarily on full throttle anyway. Perhaps take it a bit easier, not be so desperate to overtake, and you never know what you'll pick up in the pits. If you've been very, very good on fuel and you don't have to take anywhere near as much on board, it's served him well for a couple of races now, so it's a tip that certainly I'm going to be taking on board, and I'd suggest it's something that everyone should consider. Out in front, you can see Charged is a long way out in front in first. Looks like a pretty commanding sort of lead. We know that 13 laps is going to be the race distance. It was in race 1. We're not going a whole lot quicker here. So, in fact, race 2 is typically a little bit slower because your front runners tend to have started at the back and have to wind or work their way through. So I can pretty much guarantee it's going to be a 13-lap race again, and at the moment, unless he makes a mistake, Charge has got a very, very commanding lead. If you look at the minimap up there on the right-hand side, he is a substantial distance. Unfortunately, in replay mode, Gran Turismo doesn't give us the gaps between people, so I can't give you an exact time, but you can see now Charge is already around the final turn and he's accelerating on the straight. Meanwhile, Speedy in third is starting to put a lot of pressure on Sim, so this is what we saw in race 1, and it's good to see those two back together, having a very good battle. It remains to be seen who's going to come out on top. And Speedy, we can just see him there, does a 1:30 flat. That is a phenomenal lap time. That, of course, is not an out lap. That's his first flying lap out of the pits, and that is a super quick time. I'd have to say that that is, to this point, the quickest lap of the race, and I would suggest remains, unless he can beat it, to get anywhere near a 1:29 in race pace. That is really stonking lap times, so Speedy not wanting to lose this. Whether he can catch Charge or not, we don't know. Charge is a long way up the front. But the battle with Sim is going to continue, and if you were Sim, you'd have to be a little bit nervous. Not that he was doing bad lap times himself, but nonetheless, that is something that is going to be looming in your mirror, and probably just making you... You can see there he's almost just taking defensive lines, cutting a little bit on the inside, and the problem with doing that is whilst it does defend your position a bit, it can leave you a little bit vulnerable. Exits of turns and things like that can be affected if you're not taking the nice big sweeping racing lines that, of course, we all want to take. Speedy behind him doesn't have to worry too much about it, so we'll jump on board with Speedy at the moment as he follows Sim through here. Can he make a lunge into the final turn? He's a little bit too far back, but let's see what he can do. And he doesn't. Sim very, very late on the brakes there. An early turn in, but it gets on the throttle. A little bit of a squirmy oversteer, but he gets away with it. And as I've discussed many times in the past, these things don't throw out much in the way of an aerodynamic slipstream for the car behind to take advantage of. So he's going to have to do it in the corners. And this could really be quite a good battle to see who comes out on top. They are actually taking big chunks of time off Charge, though. If you go back to the minimap up the top right-hand corner again, you can see that those two are gaining pretty substantially over Charge, carrying a lot more pace, so that will be good to see. Piosco having a very, very good race. He's sort of not getting involved in too much, but he's doing what has to be done. I've actually managed to pull a bit of a break over Willie there, probably around about the 2 to 3 second mark. Piosco hanging onto the back of Willie nicely, and I've got a feeling with about 2 laps left, he's going to be considering himself a bit of a chance to take that spot off him. As we look back to Crenshaw, just getting along doing the right thing, and it's good that everyone turns out. It doesn't matter what position they come. I appreciate him jumping in, and as long as he had a good, fun race, that's the main thing. He's got Risky Devil not too far up the road there in 14th position, so it gives him something to chase. You know, he's not back there all by himself. The two of those having, obviously Risky's had a few dramas early on, he had a spin, so it's put him back there, but it gives those two something to chase. And Mojo, unfortunately, he was looking good there for a while. He was right at the back early on in the race, but he worked his way through to the mid-pack. Obviously, something's gone wrong that we haven't seen. Whether he's had a spin or a couple of spins, I'm not sure, but Skater as well, someone that was very quick in race 1, unfortunately has found himself in 12th at the moment with only 2 laps to go. A bit of a gap as well, up to 11th, and Staniel here. Staniel and Jason's actually. Jason's very sideways out of the turn there. Hard on the throttle. As we go up to GTR, who has settled into a 9th position. Not too far back from Hippie Heat in 8th. Again, really, really good recovery from Hippie. He was so far back on lap 1 to come anywhere in the top 10. We saw Willie manage to scrape a 10th in race 1, which was a good comeback, so that gives Hippie Heat even a better comeback, I'd say, to get up to 8th, but it's unlikely he's going to chase down this man, Piosco, in 7th, who is still there or thereabouts. He's not really making big impressions on Willie. He's not gaining big distance on him, but he is keeping there, and all it takes is one mistake from BR Bilson, as you can see his name there, or Willie. One little mistake runs wide, and he's going to have that position. So I've managed to actually gain a lot of time on Moldovic here. I've closed right up on the back of him, so you better believe at this point I was starting to believe that there's a possibility. And Charge, you can see, has made a massive mistake. I don't know what's happened there, but he's obviously had a spin or something. A little bit confusing there, as he seems to be running my livery for the race. But very confusing as to why he's so far back, but whatever happened, it's been big, because he has lost not only 1st position and 2nd position to Sim, who's actually a bit behind, but he's a big gap, so whatever the mistake was, it has hurt him dearly, and now he's going to have to try and hang on to that 3rd place, which in fact, if you look at the leaderboard on the left-hand side, you can see it hasn't happened, so possibly another mistake, as Moldovic and myself have gone through. That gives Moldovic 3rd place, which is a good run and a good recovery given that race 1 he had to sit out. He didn't have the experience of doing that race. So, to be third on the final lap, this will be the final lap. Of course, with me sitting in 4th position behind him, yeah, you better believe I wanted to take that spot off him and nab a third. Charge runs wide again, so that's going to give Willie a bit of a sniff, who's just pulled away, just as I was saying that Piosco was hanging on to the back of him. And here you go, I'm up the inside. We are side by side through this turn, and I have managed to take the position but also run wide myself, which has given Moldovic another sniff. He's going to have the inside line. Actually, he's not, because I have just been able to pull in front of him, move across in front, and take that third spot. So Moldovic just cutting to the inside. Charge not out, not down and out yet. He's 5th. Obviously, with us scrapping, it's going to be slowing us down pretty substantially. But as we jump on board towards the final turn, Moldovic in 4th position. Is he going to do the big dive bomb lunge on me? Not quite. In fact, he pushed a little bit too wide. He's out well wide, up against the wall. No good for him. Charge is able to get that 4th position back. Moldovic in all kinds of strife. But Speedy Chicken does cross the line to take the win. Sim in 2nd position. I do manage to grab 3rd. Charged gets 4th position back, so not a terrible recovery. Moldovic very sideways in 5th. Piosco's going to come through in 6th. Then we've got Hippie, who's actually grabbed 7th. Very good. GTR in 8th. Willie in 9th. Jason's rounding out the top 10. Staniel not too far off the pace in 11th. We have Skater coming through to take 12th position, although I don't know if he was just doing some mad skids on the line or if he had a bit of a tank slapper out of the final turn, but he does take 12th. Mojo coming through, as I say, probably not the race he wanted. He was looking pretty good early on, but he does cross the line in 13th. Of course, every position pays points in this series. Risky Devil has actually got a fair gap over Crenshaw, so it looks like he's going to take 14th. He's not. He's lost it. He's dropped it. He's now facing the wrong way. Crenshaw in 15th. He's going to be pushing hard, and he is. Risky Devil doing some mad skids there to try and get it facing the wrong way. It's all gone bad. I can only imagine the frustration as he tries to straighten it out. Crenshaw will take 14th position, and unfortunately for Risky Devil, who actually looks like he could be completely out of fuel. Yes, and you can see him going very, very slowly there, not gaining the rev, sitting on the lowest speed that Gran Turismo will allow once you're empty. Unfortunately for Risky Devil, I think he's run out of fuel with about a corner to go. So anyway, that is race 2. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, of course. Remember to check out all the details of the racing series on my website, www.charlieroscoe.com. Thank you to everyone who did join the race as a competitor, but also as a viewer. Hopefully I'll see you all for round 3. But for now, it's goodbye.